Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be discussing why Palworld is more important than you may realize. Now real quick, if anyone has been living under a rock for the past week, Palworld is a new open world survival game that happens to include pocket monsters as a concept. It is currently the biggest game on Steam with I believe around 2 million concurrent players on average, and it is in the top 2 most concurrently played games of all time, being only surpassed by PUBG on Steam. Now, I know a lot of people are discussing how it rips off Pokemon and Breath of the Wild and Ark and all these other games, but that's not actually what I want to be talking about in today's video because I feel that enough people have talked about it and it's been done to death at this point. What I'm going to be talking about is the larger implication that Palworld will probably have on the entire gaming industry as a whole. So kicking right into it, this game sets a big example of what can be accomplished. The developers of Palworld are an indie studio who made this game on a shoestring budget and just a small team of devs. No big studios, no big costs, just a game put together by passionate creators. I think this game will set a big example for the future for more indie studios to rise up and do their thing. As gamers, we all prefer it when it's an indie studio, or at least if it's a big studio, we prefer it when they actually care about the player. Which in modern gaming, a lot of that seems to be lost to the wayside. A lot of these developers are only focused on getting into our wallets and they don't actually care about the overall experience of their game, which really sucks. As someone who plays a lot of video games, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably do too, that's not the example we want to be set, that those are the only successful sorts of games, because that's going to lead the industry to shift in a direction that players will not enjoy. And at the end of the day, enjoyment of the game should be the top priority first and foremost, with no exceptions. And that's why this game, being such a rare exception, a game put together by indie developers on a small budget that's been widely received as a very fun to play game, and it's sold so many copies, I think that that example could really shake up the industry and lead to a lot more games that are enjoyable versus just cash grabs. Another thing that is absolutely huge about this game is the price tag of the game itself. Right now, you can buy Palworld for $30 on Steam or through Xbox, and it's also free to play if you have Xbox Game Pass. This is really big considering most games nowadays will run you $70, and that's just minimum. A lot of games also include microtransactions, things like battle passes, item shops, blah blah blah, and this game, at least as of right now, does not have any of those things. It's $30 and that is the only time you will spend money for this game. Right now, the only additional thing you can buy for this game is purchasing the soundtrack, which unless you're like really into the music of this game, I don't know why you'd buy that, but hey, it's an option, I guess. Another thing I really like about this game is that there was no legacy leading up to that. And what I mean by legacy is that this game isn't a sequel to anything. The developers, in my opinion, were relatively unknown. I know they had a previous game called Craftopia, but I've never heard of it, and I imagine a lot of others who are playing this game have not heard of it as well. And that's something that I feel, especially in the modern times, with not only gaming, but also movies and TV shows and pretty much all media we consume, it seems like everything just has to be a sequel or built off nostalgia because nobody's having any creative or original ideas anymore. Now, I say creative and original with a grain of salt because let's be real, a lot of this game is just a compilation of things pulled from other games, but regardless, even if it is a combination of stuff pulled from all other games, it is still an original game at the end of the day. There's not a game quite like Palworld. The components of it, sure, but as a whole, as a packaged experience, doesn't exist anywhere else. Now, moving right along, I want to talk about the main reason why I'm creating this video. As a huge Pokemon fan, I am very excited for this game because it shows Game Freak and the entire Pokemon company as a whole that they're not the only ones with a monopoly on the pocket monster genre. Now granted, even though there are a lot of things in this game that are pulled straight from Pokemon, especially the catching system, I would say that this game is a little bit different in the way that Pokemon battle and stuff like that, or pals, sorry. So I wouldn't say that it satisfies the same craving and style of game that Pokemon does. Lots of people, myself included, have been very disappointed with Pokemon since like Gen 6. Now, full disclosure, I've only played Gens 3 through 4, so I may not be the most qualified to talk about modern Pokemon games. But that being said, I do own a Switch and I had no interest in buying any of the new Pokemons. I took a gamble and I actually did end up buying Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I got about 15 hours in the game across 2 different saves because I got bored and started again a few months later. In both times, it just didn't interest me, it didn't hook me. I think the open world they built was pretty boring. There were some cool aspects to the game, but at the end of the day, I just felt it was a pretty lackluster game. And especially coming in at a $60 price tag, I expected a lot more. So all that being said, then what is the implication on Pokemon? My guess as of right now is that Nintendo is not taking this game very seriously. Regardless of how well this game does, I personally don't believe it's going to impact the sales of whatever the next Pokemon is. Pokemon has just been rooted into everyone's life since it originally came out in the 90s. They have such a legacy, which is something that I mentioned earlier in the video, that I feel like no matter what happens, they'll always get guaranteed sales, especially with the system of them selling 2 of the same game and people buying both. Now, I personally have never bought both, but I know a lot of people do, and if you want to do that, to each their own, but I don't really see the point. But that system, regardless of how you feel about it, has really driven their sales. On top of that, Pokemon is more than just a game, it's got media all over the place. Things like toys, anime, manga, etc., etc. Pokemon is just a giant company. So, I don't think something like Palworld will really affect it. What I do think can happen, though, is that Palworld will show other developers that the Pocket Monster genre is not untouchable. I think if enough developers see this and start making their own spins on the Pokemon genre, that could be what affects Pokemon sales. Because as I said earlier, Palworld does not satisfy the same itch. It's not a turn-based RPG, but another company, and hopefully an indie studio, might see that and be like, hey, maybe Pokemon's not untouchable. Maybe I can make a Pocket Monster game and a lot of people will enjoy it as they did Palworld. And that's what I think could be very interesting for 2 reasons. It could go the way of that indie studio makes a game that everybody enjoys so that if you're looking for a good Pokemon experience, you don't have to go through Game Freak. Or Game Freak could start losing sales, and through that, they might push themselves a little harder than they have in the past and really innovate and give us a good experience. Hopefully, we get a little bit of both. But moving on from the implications on Pokemon, the last topic I wanted to touch in this video is why I think the future of this game is very important. I think wherever the cycle of this game leans will have a gigantic impact on the gaming industry. I kind of think of Palworld in the same lens as Fortnite. Not that they play similar, although they do look a bit similar, but that's kind of just the cartoony aspect. I think that when a game blows up like this, the entire industry has all eyes on it, and thus they'll probably try to recreate some of the things this game does. Take a quick look back at Fortnite. The game blew up in 2018 as a free-to-play game that offered tons of microtransactions. They may not have been the first ones to invent the system of a battle pass, but they were definitely the ones to make it popular. After Fortnite, a lot of games started pushing for a free-to-play experience that offers a battle pass and an item shop, because at the end of the day, that's what was making money. Fortnite had a complete chokehold on the entire gaming industry when it came out. In its peak of around 2018 to 2019, it was the most played game. Every YouTuber was talking about it. I saw channels dedicated to anything else completely switched their focus to Fortnite. Everybody from Call of Duty Zombies YouTubers, which were the main things I used to watch around that time, people who were playing GTA, it didn't matter. They were all switching to Fortnite because it's all anybody was talking about. I think we could see a similar thing happen with Palworld. I think a lot of devs are going to see the success of this game and think, okay, how do we recreate that in our own way? Because that's what a lot of people did with Fortnite. I mean, look at Warzone. That is very clearly Call of Duty's attempt to be Fortnite. So if games start copying Palworld in the future and lots of devs start shifting to a more Palworld focused sort of game, what could that look like? Well, Palworld's only really been out for a week at this point, so what we can gather is this. Games with a lower price tag might sell a little bit better. Now that could be huge for the gaming industry, especially with the $70 price tags, and then they include the microtransactions on top of that. If they start lowering their prices as games, I think all gamers around the globe will be very happy about that. Now, that being said, I don't think we'll completely see that because, let's be honest, a AAA game does take a lot more time, effort, and bigger teams to produce. It also costs a lot more, but maybe a lot of studios will be more interested in making a little bit of cheaper games. Now, the problem that Palworld could have on the gaming industry is the fact that as of right now, it's a very unpolished game. And, to be fair, they do market themselves as early access. So it's to be expected that the game's not going to be 100% squeaky clean, but the future of where this game goes could really make the difference here. Because if the devs are lazy and don't do anything with the game, they don't patch the bugs, they don't add the content that they're planning to add, that could set a really bad precedent on the gaming industry, and one that's already kind of there, which is selling games that are completely unfinished and then just letting it be as is. I mean, look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, right? I didn't play those, but I was watching a lot of gameplay on YouTube when they came out, and all I could ever hear about was just the bugs that plagued the game, bugs that are still there to this day. I'm really hoping that the devs of Palworld, now that they have this huge influx of money from all the sales they're getting, really take the time and polish this game out, especially because I'm having a lot of fun with it. Some of the bugs are pretty annoying, especially the one I've been having where my pals get glitched a lot. So when I'm inside my base, you can assign pals to do tasks, and a lot of them get stuck on high terrain and get stuck in trees. And then a bug that I've been seeing a lot of other people are having too is when they're supposed to be transporting their harvested resources to the proper chests, they kind of just glitch if there's a lot of different items around them. So if there's like 20 bundles of wood or whatever, they'll kind of just glitch and try to pick everything up at once, and they'll end up picking up none of it. So then they're frozen in place until you have to do it yourself, which the whole point of assigning pals is so that you don't have to do it yourself. If bugs like this persist and they never patch them, I think this game will be a very short-lived trend. And if the devs can get away with that, well then I think a lot of people might follow suit. But hey, that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. At the end of the day, regardless of the bugs, I'm still really enjoying this game. I think there's a lot to love, and I can't wait to see the future of it. Hopefully they update it because I want more. But with that being said, I am going to end the video here. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, as it truly does help my channel grow. If you want to see more in the future, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you guys are always alerted whenever I upload more. And let me know what you guys think. Are you guys playing Palworld? Are you guys really enjoying it like I am, or do you hate it? If you are playing it, who's your favorite pal so far? I'd have to give it to Daydream, besides the fact that it's pretty much just a Misdreavus clone. I still think it looks really cool. But let me know all of your opinions in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.